Hi everyone. My name is Vincent Finaldi with the Second Generation Video Podcast. Today I have my first guest ever, the one and only Nicole Plath, who currently runs a business in Roseland called Fortune Title. Say hi, Nicole.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
So to start it off, the reason I created this video podcast, it's really focused on second and third generation businesses. And I really wanted to do three things. So the first thing I wanted to shed light on was family dynamics within family operated businesses. The second thing is I wanted to discuss ways to avoid pitfalls and mistakes in these businesses. And the third is I want family businesses to thrive. I believe they're the backbone of our country, of our economy. And my passion is to help family businesses on all levels succeed and do well, especially for now and in the future. So to introduce my first guest, Nicole, I did a little I'm going to give you a little bio introduction and correct me if I'm wrong. So
Okay.
I did a little research, and you have to either say, yes, I'm right, or no, you were wrong. Okay. So Fortune Title was founded by Nicole's father, Nick Timpanaro, in 2000. And Nicole currently sits as the president and CEO. And she also works with her brother, John, her uncle, Greg, and her cousin, Greg. And I believe your mother, Dory, is also on the accounting side of the business.
My mother's a bookkeeper.
Okay.
My brother was in business development. He's actually no longer with us. He is now a professional gamer. He has esports contracts.
That's incredible.
He's a big deal. He's like one of the best in the country.
It's amazing.
He's really good. Yeah.
Very cool. And then here's my tidbit. I didn't think you would think I know. Your father got into the business because of his mother-in-law, Doris, who ran a title company back in the 80s.
Yes. She abstracting company, very close.
Wow. So is it safe for me to assume your family has a combined 70 years of title experience if you add up everybody?
Yeah.
Give or take a few?
Probably more than that, but yeah, I'm third generation technically.
That's incredible. So you are third generation, even better. So
should I even be interviewed?
We open it up to everyone but the founder, because they get all the attention. So let's, so let me dive into a couple fun things I wanted to talk about. So your father, Nick, started the company in 2000, correct?
Yes.
So give us and the viewers the short backdrop. How did that come to be? Like, how did Nick go from being some guy to now running an operation that is so successful now?
So I love my dad's story. I love to tell it. My dad was actually originally in construction, and my mother was an abstractor working with my grandmother. Okay. She got pregnant with my brother. During that pregnancy, she was put on bed rest. And at the time, she was the breadwinner. So they decided for the family, it would be best for my dad to stop construction and to go and work with my grandmother, since that's where more of the money was. So that's when he started learning title. And he's got the mind for it. He's very logical. He can plot a legal description like no one else I know. So he was doing extremely well. And one of their clients asked if he wanted to come on board and work in their foreclosure department. So he did. And he started to learn a lot about foreclosure and really became an expert. He's self-taught. He just read Larry Feinberg's book and he just got it. So another title company approached him and asked him if he wanted to run their foreclosure title company. So he took the offering, and he was there. He would have been there for the rest of his life. But he had a situation where paychecks were bouncing. Not a good situation. My dad's loyal to a fault, but at the end of the day, you have to make a living. Sure. So he decided to go out on his own. At the time, I was in college. I was 20 years old when he opened.
Villanova, right?
Yes, Villanova. Cool. I was 20 years old when he opened Fortune Title, and he was trying to think of a name for his new company, and completely joking around, I said, you should call it Fortune Title because you're going to make a fortune. And he did.
That's great.
And he's been very successful. the clients that my dad serviced, they knew him and the quality of his work. And he opened Fortune Title with one employee, with, an old door as a desk in a small office on a second floor.
Wow.
On Bloomfield Avenue in Caldwell. And my dad worked from 6 a.m. till 12 o'clock at night every day with a ton of credit card debt.
Wow.
Just to get things going. And,
And
really.
Now your company is 30 employees, if I remember.
We're now 30 people strong.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm very proud to be able to continue my dad's legacy because he built something very special. He built a very special culture. We call ourselves the Fortune family because that's who my dad is. He's always treated everybody like family from the second they walked in the door. And we've continued that tradition and we're all very close. And that's, because of him and who he is and what he built.
That's a great story. That's awesome. That just brings me back to like America at its best form, like just a guy or gal, like working really hard and it works out. I love it.
Yeah.
So couple questions for you. So since you joined the business in 2008, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if you had to pick one memory, whether it's current day or back then, what was the hardest business challenge Fortune had to overcome? Like the number one thing that comes to your mind of the hardest time?
I know this. Yes. So it was 2009. I was with the company for a year. I had just started running the company for my dad, and notice of intent litigation went up to the state Supreme Court in New Jersey. And the result of that was it just completely froze foreclosure. And at this point, pretty much all of our business was foreclosure. Wow. And cash just stopped moving through the industry. So there was just no money. So we were at a point where we had to lay off like more than half our staff to survive.
Did that have to do with the financial crisis of 2008? Was that all connected?
Well, that was the financial crisis, to be honest, was great for us because it resulted in a lot of foreclosures, which meant a lot of work.
Got it.
But what happened was there was arguments over how the notice of intent was serviced, and nobody wanted to move forward with a foreclosure action until they knew the result of that litigation. So while this was going on, the files weren't moving. And because the files weren't moving, they weren't hitting the bill points they needed to in order for us to get paid. So while we were doing a level of work, we were not getting paid because our clients weren't getting paid. So at that point, I had to fire my mother and my brother and my aunt and, like a lot of staff members just to survive. We had to trim down to, only who was necessary in order for the company to survive. And, that was by far the most difficult thing I had to do because, like I said, we're a family and we love our people. And it was very hard for me to look these people in the eye and tell them, like, I'm sorry, but I have to let you go.
And that story is part of the main reason I want to do more of these interviews, because you, as a family-run business, family comes first as far as love and relationships, but the survival of the business is almost a close number two, because without the survival of the business, then like, now what? So you probably navigated through some tricky territories there.
Very. And look, we laid off in a very unconventional way. Everybody I laid off, I said, look, I'm laying you off now because I have to. But as soon as things turn around, I'm going to bring you back. And, from an HR perspective, you are not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to guarantee someone a position back. But I knew that once the money started moving and the files started moving, I would need them again and I would be able to bring them back. And we did. When everything started moving, we did bring them back.
So you're in 2009 going through that challenging time. How long till things, quote unquote, went back to normal or growth mode?
It was about a year and a half. It was very difficult. I'm grateful that we have incredible vendor relationships who understood my situation and allowed me to not pay for a period of time. So just as, I had this credit line out with my vendors, my clients had a credit line out with me. We all kind of banded together and rode the wave together. And then when everything started moving, I got paid up, my clients paid. it all worked. But I've always looked at my responsibility with this business is, the people under my care are my responsibility. And if I don't put Fortune Title first, and if I don't make sure that this business is successful, then I'm not caring for the people it employs.
Right.
So I have to put the company first in order to take care of the people I need to take care of.
I get it. The adage of the old golden goose, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So I'll flip it to a slightly more positive note. So that was your most challenging time. Does anything stick out as the most rewarding time? Or I don't mean to use the word fun, but something that comes to your mind of that was great, that moment in time.
Yes. So similar time period. I started with my dad in 2008. Early 2009, before all this took place, I started managing the office. And one of the first things I did was cost cutting for the company to reduce expenses. So I had negotiated our searcher contracts to get flat pricing from everybody. So it was consistent and to set proper profit margins with our products. And I remember the first P&L I ran after doing that, the first full year that we had that into effect, we saved $250,000 by making this change. Now, incredible. My father put me through college. My father helped pay for my master's. He's always been incredibly supportive of me. So to be able to walk into his office and put a year-over-year P&L down and say, look at this, I saved you $250,000. Consider yourself paid back for college.
We're even.
Yeah, was probably for me one of the more rewarding points in my career. That's because awesome. I was able to do that for him. So
just to shed some levity on that, before our interview, my internet out of my house, so I'm actually at my mom and dad's home office, hence the encyclopedias behind me.
Right.
So we all owe our mom and dad a lot. I agree with that. That's awesome, Nicole. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. One more business question, then I'm going to do some like a 4-question Spitfire series.
Okay.
So one more business related question. Where do you want Fortune Title to go? Like 5-10 years out, like where are you guys going? What's the vision?
The vision is this company started just as a foreclosure title company. Mm-hmm. The vision for me is to have equal market share in the foreclosure market, the commercial market, and the residential market, so that our revenue is so diverse that I don't ever have to lay somebody off again. Right. Because it's very difficult letting people go.
That's an interesting point. So in 2009, when you were just joined, the company was too dependent on the one source of revenue, foreclosure. Was that correct? And now you're more diversified into 3 or 4 different areas?
Yeah. So now we do operate in all 3 markets.
Right.
We have a very small market share in commercial right now. Residential's been built up quite a bit. So our residential market is pretty strong. But I need that commercial market too, in order to waive all the market changes. So, as economic conditions fluctuate, if I had all 3 markets even keel, we'd be okay no matter what the market's doing.
That's awesome. That's great. All right. I'm going to shoot, and Timpanaro is Italian background, right?
Timpanaro, close.
Timpanaro.
But yes, we are very Italian.
Okay, good. Then I could continue with my 4 questions. Okay, I want you to answer quickly and don't overthink it, because that's going to make it more fun. So, okay. Question number 1. 1 sentence to describe the Timpanaro family.
Oh, loud, ball busting, loving, and lots of fun.
Perfect. Number 2, what percentage of family dinners discuss title? More or less than 50% of the family dinner?
So it used to be 100%. And then we started making a rule that we don't talk about work at the dinner table because we would just talk about work all the time. So now when we do talk about work, usually somebody's scolding us and saying, we're not supposed to talk about work.
So we'll agree with 20%?
Probably.
All right, very cool. Number 3. So you have children, correct?
I have 3.
So you have 3 children. And I'm sure maybe your cousin, Greg, I don't know his personal story, but here's my question. the next generation, your children and whoever family member's children, yes, no, maybe, to take over a Fortune title?
Maybe. I would want them to want it. So I wouldn't put that on my children, the expectation that they're going to pick up the helm and move on. I know I certainly had no intention of going into title when I was growing up. And when I graduated college, it was very organic how I ended up working at my dad's company. But then I fell in love with it. And it was something I became very passionate about it and wanted to do. So if my children end up sharing that passion, I would be so happy to pass the torch. But if they don't, I would be equally happy.
Got it. And now your brother's a professional gamer, so that's hard footsteps to follow.
He's amazing.
That's awesome. Last question. What is the Timpanaro's favorite Italian dish collectively, if you all had to agree on one?
Sunday gravy. I mean, come on. What Italian family does not do Sunday gravy? My mom makes
Are there
the
fried
best
meatballs? Are there meatballs? All right.
Oh, there are meatballs for days. And my mom makes the best meatballs.
I love it. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. This was so much fun. I wish you and Fortune title lots of success.
Thank you.
Here's to many more generations. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Vince.
Bye.